on your mobile phone and on all social media platforms. Jambo Radio.
You are listening to Jambo Radio Scotland, online and on your smart speakers. You can download the Jambo Radio app on Google Play and App Store. Now, it's time for your weekly sports show, The Sports Engine.
Hello, sports fans. This is another round of Sports Engine. Time to talk sports on Jambo Radio. This is Sports Engine. My name remains Ladi Egbedre. And with me on the show today, as usual, I have with me Enifemi Folabi and Dr. Wole Opatola. Welcome, guys, the most unpredictable AFCON championship in the history of African football. I bid you welcome as we embark on this journey of scintillating sporting news.
That's
right. We all saw what happened yesterday in the game between. I think for me the biggest game that happened yesterday.
Thank you, Laddie. Thanks for having us on the show.
Yeah, great, man. I thought I'm the only because I didn't hear anything from Enifemi and I didn't hear anything from Dr. Wole Opatola. Great to have you guys join me. Well, let's quickly move on now. Let's talking about the show now.
I said good afternoon, Laddie.
The biggest thing.
It must be the network playing a funny game, you know.
Well, it's all good. The show must go on. Now, the biggest story yesterday was the game between Morocco and South Africa. A lot of football fans gave the Moroccans, a very big, opportunity, and they were the favorites, to qualify for the next round for the quarterfinals based on their performance at the World Cup, concerning the fact that they went all the way to the semi-finals of the World Cup. But like we've all seen in this championship, you never say never. We've seen a lot of big giants, heavyweights in African football fall by the wayside. Talk about countries like Tunisia, like Egypt, like Senegal, the defending champions that lost to the Ivorians, talking about the Elephants of Cote d'Ivoire, who right now fancy themselves as the favorites to go ahead and make this championship for the first time. Now, gentlemen, let's go back to some of the matches that yesterday. The first game saw Angola beating Namibia by 3-0. And in the second game, we saw Nigeria getting the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon by 2-0, while Guinea also defeated Equatorial Guinea by a lone goal. The game between Cape Verde and Egypt ended 1-1 at regulation time, and after extra time, Gabaski, the one they like to call Gabaski, that tall Egyptian goalkeeper, unfortunately lost his kick, and the Congolese, the Cape Verde guy was like, "Wow, great job for me," and he got it all wrapped up for them. Now, looking at some of the other results, you will say it was actually expected, apart from the game between South Africa and Morocco, where a lot of people tipped the Moroccans to go all the way to the quarterfinal based on their performance at the World Cup. Now, let me come to you, Wole. What do you take from that, from all the matches that was played in the second round of matches? What was your take? Which one of them stand out for you as the biggest of them all? Which ones do you think for in the quarterfinal?
Well, I think, I said something last week. I said the moment the African star player, lost the penalty kick, against, and that was how the game was decided, and they lost the game by 2-0. Same thing actually played itself again all to the second round matches. You will bear me witness that the game between Equatorial Guinea and Guinea, had a turnaround the moment the star player for Equatorial Guinea lost the penalty kick. They were playing a man down, and but they were still in control of the game. And luckily for them, they got a penalty, which I felt if it had been converted, they probably could have won the game. And Guinea seized the initiatives and won the game on the death. Same we saw in the game between South Africa and Morocco. Ashraf Hakimi, that late penalty, And if he had converted it, it would have been 1-1, and we probably would have played extra time and maybe go into penalty kicks, just like some games that we have witnessed in this competition. But Ashraf Hakimi, hit his penalty against the crossbar, and that was the end of the road for Morocco. Same thing in the Cote d'Ivoire versus game. If Pepe had not converted that penalty, 84th-minute penalty, then it would have been over for the Omas. So you want to say that perhaps almost all the matches in the second round, except for a few, like the Nigerian game against Cameroon was not decided by any penalty kick, shootout, or penalty kick during the game. One or two others, but we can cite like 5-6 examples and say, yeah, these games decided based on the fact that somebody scored a penalty or somebody decided to miss a penalty.
Now, the Angolans got a player sent off in the 17th minute. They scored the first goal in the 38th after having a player red carded. They scored the second goal in the 42nd minute and scored the third goal with a man down in the 66th minute. Don't you think the Super Eagles should take note of the attacking capabilities of these Angolan players? Anifemi?
Well, I would say if you look at the Angolan team, they're a very good side. More so, the Super Eagles will have to be wary of these guys because I think they denied us a World Cup ticket in 2006.
That's right.
Right? If I'm correct, yeah. This Angola, they're not pushover. So we need to watch out for them. And they have a striker, a young boy there. I can't remember his name now. I think he scored twice in that game.
That's Dalla.
Yeah, he scored a brace in that game. And in the previous game,
that's right.
Yeah, in the previous game he scored as well. He's a dangerous player, and Nigeria will have to watch out for him because this team, like Wally said the last time, this AFCON have shown us that anybody can beat anybody, right? I read a report that says the FIFA grant that was given to these countries, right, were utilized effectively, right? They were given to all these countries, right? It was utilized effectively, and you can see the effect. These teams have been able to provide teams that can compete against the African giants, the so-called African giants, and we are seeing it in this championship. So I was tipping Senegal and Morocco. That's what I said last week. These two teams have been knocked out now. Because I thought both of them would be in the semi or final or something like that. But they've been out. So it's anybody's game now. And I feel Nigeria has got the opportunity to win this. If we can beat Angola, which I think we're going to do, right? Well, if we can beat them, then we have a chance. But we need to beat them. They're a very dangerous side. We need to watch out for them.
The Ivorians, they are hosting it. And against all odds, they find themselves in the quarterfinals against Mali, a team that the proximity between Mali and Cote d'Ivoire is not that much. So you know that there are going to be a lot of Malian fans that will troop down to Ab or Yamoussoukro, wherever the game will be played. Now, I will know the rivalry between these two teams. Now, how do you fancy the chances of the Ivorians going into this game? Wale? Wale, there with me?
Yeah. Honestly speaking, yes, I'm here with you. Yes, I can hear you. Honestly speaking, I think the luckiest, out of all the qualifiers for the second round is the Ivorian team. The Ivorians, were out of it. Then last minute they went, and now they seems to be ahead of everybody because now they're in the quarterfinals just like everybody, but they still have the edge in the sense that they are playing at home. They have the crowd, they have the people behind them and all. So now they are back ahead of everybody now. Confidence is sky high within the Ivorian camp. Look, sending the defending champions out of the competition is very massive. Last week I said it here that there's something called the cost of the defending champions. In the last 7 editions now, the defending champions have failed to go beyond the group stage or the second round or the quarterfinal of the past 7 editions. So look at Algeria, when they won it in 2019. They couldn't even go past the group stage in the next edition in Cameroon just 2 years ago. And look at Senegal that won it 2 years ago now. I mean, they couldn't just go beyond the second round. So that's the cost of the defending champions, which you know no one seems to have been able to escape from in the last 7 years, 7 editions. So the Ivorians have eliminated the defending champions. They're going to ask themselves the question: who else can't we eliminate? Equatorial Guinea that whitewashed the Ivorians by 4 goals to nothing. They are out already. The only other
Well, if you
country
look at
that
the
defeated the Ivorians,
that
still in contention is Nigeria.
any team that is tagged favorite in the championship gets knocked out. So are you suggesting that the Ivorians will be the next team that will be knocked out?
Well, it's going to be very difficult, for anybody to knock out Ivory Coast at this stage. Don't get me wrong, anybody and everybody has been beating anybody, in this competition. But right now, at a time where the fans are back right behind them, right now that they have some of their best players fit and back, so I mean, Sebastian Haaland is now fit and is back. Look at what Nicolas Ope did when he came on, last game. So many other players too living up to expectations. The player who scored the 2 goals for them, scored the equalizing goal during regulation time and also scored the winning goal. So right now, honestly speaking, if care is not taken, Cote d'Ivoire might just be playing all the way to the final as it is now. But then we still have countries like Cape Verde, Cape Verde, Mali, and to deal with. But it's looking like they're going to play the final. And if you ask,
All right
I
then.
won't miss what's in telling you that it's looking like Nigeria. It's looking Nigeria Cote d'Ivoire final.
I know you've been harping on that for quite a while now. Now, ahead of Friday's quarterfinal round, don't forget on Friday, Nigeria is going to start the round of final round against Angola. Now, ahead of that game, we learned that the
Oh,
Angolan national team have received some bumper incentives, to motivate the players. And we learned that what's it called? They were actually given the sum of 5.41 million naira each, of the Angolan players. And that was done by a bank in Angola. And that was done by Banco Angolano de Investimento. Actually gave the players 5.41 million naira each. And then the president of our telecoms also gave the players iPhone 15. I'm sure you guys are aware of that as well. And they've also been promised more incentives, talking about $250,000 if they can defeat the Super Eagles and qualify for the semi-final. Now, this is what I called motivation, not ambush marketing like we have in some parts of Africa. Now, what can you say? How far do you think this kind of motivation and this kind of incentives can, propel these guys to probably get the job done against the Super Eagles on Friday? Any Femi?
It will go a long way in motivating them. Yeah, we've had that when the Super Eagles come before, whereby corporate organizations and government comes out and promise them things. We don't know what was on ground for the Super Eagles, the winning bonus. I don't know about that. But what I'm sure is those incentives are there to ginger the Angolans, right? But if you look at the Nigerian squad, they're a very expensive squad. Whatever you're promising, they already have it. iPhone 15, they have it. Every player in Nigeria has got iPhone 15. 200 something $1,000, they earn it in a month, right? Then, apart from that, the incentive, the Nigerian players themselves, I don't know what the government is promising them, but I'm very sure the price for Nigeria Super Eagles is the cup itself. That's what they're going for. Every player in that squad They want to write their name on that trophy. That's it. We've won it. Just like previous players in Nigeria have won it. That's enough incentive for Nigeria to go and win it. Angola has never won it before. And I'm sure Nigeria against Angola, the incentive is there already. Like, we'll take this team out and we'll go for this cup. That's enough incentive. So I'm sure Nigerians are in high spirit to go into this game.
Now, Dr. Opatola, now, like Nifemi said, he said Angola has never won it before. Is that not enough reason for them to be extra to win this? That's number one. Then considering the fact that this is a team that has been able to score 9 goals from the start of this championship up till this very moment. They've been able to score 9 goals. Are we not supposed to be wary of that attack? It looks like that attack is potent. And don't forget, they have a Dala in that squad who has scored 4 goals. It's just 1 goal behind the what's it called? The Equatorian captain who has been bundled out of this championship. So, don't you think the Super Eagles should be wary of that attack?
They're a big threat, no doubt about it. Yeah, and that's exactly what I mean by saying that they are a threat. You know, they are a big threat. You know, yeah, they are a big threat. You know, because I mean, everybody has seen that everybody is beating everybody in the nation. So there's nothing to worry about for anybody. You know, there are no big issues anymore. The top 5 teams in this competition have all exited the competition. So, you know, I mean, how do you begin to explain that number 1 to 5 country, you know, coming into the AFCON have been set packing? Sometimes by countries that are rated below 20, you know. So that's football for you. You know, but honestly speaking, Angola, we need to worry about them because you cannot qualify for the quarterfinals for nothing. You know, nobody is giving the quarterfinal ticket on the platter. You need to work for it. In as much as you feel that, yeah, they were in some form of easy group or easier group compared to the Super Eagles, I mean, a lot of work still needs to be done, you know, on the part of the Nigerian team, which is something that the Angolans might exploit. You know, the Angolans have a very, very good attack. 9 goals so far, that's unbelievable. You know, while the Nigerian team has perhaps one of the best. Yes.
Quick one, Wale. How do you think Pesero should handle that game? Should he still go ahead with his 3-5-2 formation or probably change his formation for that game?
No, I think he needs to stick. He needs to stick with his formation that has yielded results so far. You know, since the Ivory Coast game, the guys have been, you know, buzzing. You know, so and it's because we got it right. We were spot on with our tactics going into the Ivory Coast game. So it's better, you know, you stick to what you know and what is working with for you, and then you get the results. You know, so I mean, if I were Pasero, of course, I would stick with the same lineup that I started the game in the last 2 or 3 occasions. Although, you know, against Gambia, he kind of, I said Gambia, you know, against Guinea-Bissau, he kind of tweaked the strategy a little bit. You understand? Allowing some players to come in and get some minutes under their belt, you know. But then, no one single coach, you know, is going to change his tactics going into that game.
Now, if you look at the head-to-head, I don't know if Baron can give us head-to-head the graphics on the screen. Now, if you look at the head-to-head between these 2 teams, Angola and then Nigeria, don't forget that I think one game that stand out for a whole lot of Nigerians was the game that took place at the National Stadium in 1989, where we lost Samuel Oparaji. I was at the National Stadium on that fateful day. It was a very next day, and I'm sure that a lot of Nigerians will actually be hoping and praying that perhaps the Super Eagles can go the extra mile, you know, get in that game. But apart from that game ended 1-0 in favor of the Super Eagles, and we played 2-2 out there in Luanda, which eventually knocked Nigeria out of qualifiers of that was the Italian 90 World Cup, if I'm correct. Then after that time, they stopped us from going to the 2006 World Cup. So it's been quite tough. Anytime we face
Yes.
Blancas Negras or Angola, they've always been a very tough nut to crack for the Super Eagles. And I'm not expecting anything short of that when the two teams meet again in Yamoussoukro. I think the match is coming up in Yamoussoukro. That's on Friday. On Friday in Yamoussoukro at 9 p.m.
Yes.
No, is it 9 p.m.? 6 p.m. actually. It's taking place
Yeah.
at 6 p.m. Let's move on to the second game now. The second game scheduled for that is the game between DR Congo and Guinea Republic. Now, looking at the head-to-head between DR Congo and Guinea Republic, I think DR Congo has gotten they've gotten more victories under their belts compared to that of Guinea Republic. But let's look at this championship. Looking at the performance of both teams championship, where do you think the pendulum will swing? Anything?
To be honest, with what I've seen so far, I'll tip the Congolese to go through in this round. Because if you look at their game, the last games they played in this competition, they've been very competitive, and they can. I think they will give anybody a run for their money. But in this quarterfinal, I see them as they have. I think they have a chance of going through in this game, because I've seen them in the last 3-4 games. I saw their highlights, and they're very good side, and the way they play, they have a very good team there. So I expect them to win the next game.
In
So
this
I'll tip them for
championship,
the
they drew three of
round.
their
Yes.
group. DR Congo actually drew 3 of their group stage matches, and they only won in the round of 16 against
In
the
the round of
Pharaohs
16.
of Egypt. Yes, that's the only game they won. They drew all their 3 matches, and they lost their friendly game against Burkina Faso heading to this championship. Now,
If
if you look
you
at the
if you watch
Guinean
them again,
squad, they got the better of Super Eagles in a friendly game prior to this championship. Nobody saw that coming, most definitely. And apart from losing to favorite Senegal, I think they've done pretty well. What do you think the Guineans have a better shot at qualifying for the semifinals than the what's it called? The Congolese players?
Well, it's going to be a very tough
Wale?
game. Very, very, very tough game. I'm telling you. Yeah, because both countries have done wonderful. I mean, good things in this competition. I think I first took note of the DRC when they drew 1-0 with Morocco in the group stage of the competition. They were so confident. I mean, look, that was the first message, that they sent across board, that Morocco are not invincible, Morocco are beatable, and that Dr. Congo are not here to play. And yeah, before we knew what was happening, they had scored an equalizer, and it was 1-1. I think that's where perhaps drew their inspiration from, to have a go at the Tunisians, because it looks like, I mean, Moroccans, because they look so ordinary in the second half, against Dr. Congo. One thing I noticed about the Moroccans is that when they want to bury you, they do it but in the second half, they tire out, maybe because of the scorching sun, the excruciating sun and all. But yes, I I just feel that Dr. Congo have a resolve, they have a resolve, and that resolve is what is keeping them on. But then you can't write off Guinea. Although Guinea, I don't think they've really, really played against strong oppositions, strong opposition competition. But then don't underrate anybody if you don't want it to be at your own peril. I think the Guineans might just want to show themselves now in the quarterfinals as against the second or the library previously.
Let's see the way it goes. If they have what it takes to, beat the Congolese team and move on to the next level. definitely is a
Expect Dr.
semi-final.
Congo in the
Now,
next
moving
round.
ahead, yeah, Wally said Dr. Congo. Let's see who we can achieve. Now, moving on to Saturday. On Saturday, we have two games lined up. Mali going up against Cote d'Ivoire, and the last game is going to be the game between South Africa and Cape Verde. Enifemi, Mali against Cote d'Ivoire. Now, if you look at the head-to-head between these two teams, I think the Ivorians, they've really gotten the better of the Malians, the Eagles of Mali. They have home support. They have presidential support. They have everything. But the Malians, if you look at the quality of their football so far, for me, they've been quite impressive. Do you think the home support is going to work wonders for the Ivorians, or the Malians will be able to get the job done on the day?
Well, at this stage of the competition, I think it will take a lot of bravery from Mali to defeat Cote d'Ivoire in this round, because Cote d'Ivoire has got the home backing. They have it's a good thing that they're still in this competition, because that's what's keeping the competition alive as of today. To them, I will say, in their country. But at the same time, they've got the home support. They have everything with them. But my fear is they don't have a coach, right? They let their coach away when they thought they were out of the competition, right? So they have an indigenous coach who was serving under that coach that left. So it took them into the next round, right? Which was surprising to most of them. So he might get the job if he can defeat Mali. That's what they're thinking now, because the Oyibo coach they brought, they let him away when they thought they were not going to go to the next round. But as it is today, if they face Mali, right, there'll be a lot of pressure on Mali, right, because of the home support and everything. Hopefully, they will have they will have an advantage. That will give them an advantage over Mali, and they can qualify. But if Mali have to defeat them, that will be it will take a lot for Mali to do that. And I'm very sure Cote d'Ivoire are ready for them. But my problem is the technical crew of Cote d'Ivoire. If they can read the game as it's going, or what they can do, what they can amend, they have the Drogbas and everybody there, encouraging the boys, pushing them on. Hopefully, that will come something on Saturday. For me personally, I'll tip them for the next round. Yeah.
Now, Wale, if the Super Eagles could defeat the Ivorians by a lone goal during matches, don't you think the Eagles of Mali can also get the job done, despite the fact that there will be so much support going for the Ivorians? And if you look at the proximity now, gentlemen, if you look at the proximity between Mali and Cote d'Ivoire, I feel there will be a lot of Malian fans in the Yamoussoukro on the night. What's your take, Wale?
Yes, Mali, Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire, we are talking about countries in the same axis, just like we talk about Nigeria and Republic, Togo, and Ghana. Yes, and they are all just like on a straight line. I remember that there was a particular time I went to Niger Republic, for the Supreme Council for Sports in Africa, under 23 championship. Our under 23 team was participating. We were led to that competition by Godwin Kokowua. So from Niger, I crossed over, to Burkina Faso, and from Burkina Faso, I went to Mali. From Mali, I ended up in Cote d'Ivoire, So they know themselves. That's what is going to even make it more difficult for the two of them, because Burkina Faso are out now, and it's not surprising that they were eliminated by Mali. I would have placed my money on Burkina Faso because they, based on the quality of football they exhibited it in the group stage, and you could see that they started badly. Around 3rd minute, 4th minute, there was an own goal, and there was no looking back for Mali. Burkina Faso battled really hard to come back into the game, but it just wouldn't work. So perhaps when you are looking at what is to come, like maybe there's gonna be Mali, Cote d'Ivoire to come sometime in the competition and all. You will have to look at the possibility of another extra time and penalties because they are bitter rivals, on and off the field. I'm talking about politics also being involved. So expect a fierce battle, a very, very fierce battle, that cannot be decided on paper, honestly, but on the field on that day.
Now, the last round of matches in FME is between Cape Verde and South Africa. For me, these are play exciting brand of football since the start of this championship. Who do you think is going to, carry the day? Is it the Cape Verdeans? They've been very, very fantastic. And the South after they lost that first game, I think they've bounced back in a very, very
Right.
fantastic. So now, the South Africans, considering the fact that they knocked out another favourites, Morocco, I think that will kind of boost their morale much more than that of the Cape Verdeans.
Yeah, well, I mean, Gladly, yeah, it's true. But if you look at the Moroccans have showed us in this competition that they're not that special. They did well at the World Cup, but they showed us that they're not that special in the 4 games they played. Yeah. So,
No,
um,
I might disagree with you there, Enifemi. I might want to say that the World Cup is a different ball game from the African Nations
thank you.
Cup.
Mm-hmm,
The African Nations Cup, there's so much physicality involved in it.
mm-hmm,
Whereas at the World Cup, it can't be that
Exactly.
physical. But the African Nations Cup, so much
mm-hmm,
physicality involved in it. You
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
understand what I mean? So it's a different ball game entirely.
Yeah, I know, but to the entire world, everybody watching the AFCON from everywhere, they saw Morocco at the World Cup. You know,
No doubt.
they saw they saw the quality of football they displayed at that World Cup, and they are very unlucky not to go to this final. But coming back to the AFCON, right? People have proved that Morocco is not that special when they play them. Look at South Africa yesterday. They dealt with them, though they were unlucky because I was tipping Morocco for the semi or for the final. They got knocked out. So this South Africa, you can't write them off. You can't write this team off, to be honest. But Cape Verde, I'm going to tip Cape Verde, right? The Cape Verde, if you watch them in this competition, the level of the quality of football they've displayed so far, right, have convinced me that Cape Verde can stand up to anybody in this competition. If South Africa beat them, good luck. I wouldn't write that off. But Cape Verde, I'll tip them, and I see them as a dangerous team that can upset anybody. So I see them as going through in this competition, in this game.
Wale, are you guys on the same page on that, Wale?
Yes, I agree with him 100%. The Cape Verdeans, they right from the very game, against Ghana, they left an
Mm-hmm.
impression on me. They are young, they are agile, you
Okay.
know, they are full of energy. The way they were running around the Ghanaians, you know, I wasn't surprised by the outcome, they were far superior, to the Ghanaians, And since then, they've not looked back against all oppositions, Look at their record at the group stage, even Ghana couldn't pull through. Almighty Ghana, in that group couldn't pull through. But look at the Cape Verdeans going ahead to top, a very, very tough group at that. And then, I mean, just look at their results, against Egypt, very tough team at that. Look at their result. Look at them they play against Mauritania. The same Mauritanians that defeated Almighty Algeria, So it's a classic. The game against South Africa is going to be a classic.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be very tough. Anything can happen in that game. That game is not one that you can easily predict. In fact,
Mhm.
look, what game can you even easily predict now based on what we have seen? Exactly. Based on what we have seen so far in this competition. For the first time in the top 5 teams, the top 5 rated teams are out. You
And don't
know,
forget all the teams that went to the World Cup are also out.
they're out. The rest have got their legs shaky. It's shaky.
All the
But yeah,
quarterfinalists from the last championship are all out as well.
that's right. So it's good news for Africa. It's good news for
Yeah, it's
Africa.
good news for football
It
in Africa.
shows.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It
Now,
shows that.
gentlemen, that brings me, Wale, please, if I may cut you short, that brings me to this point. Now, do you guys think what is happening to the superpowers in African football? Talking about countries like Ghana, Nigeria, Senegal, of late, Egypt, Algeria, Tunisia. Is it that the minors on the continent have caught up with them, or is it a case of complacency, or is it a case of probably they just feel of corruption? Because when you don't put your money where your mouth is, when you don't invest when you're supposed to invest, you will be made to suffer. Is it a case of probably the superpowers not investing the funds gotten from FIFA correctly for their football to develop, or a case of complacency of them feel, oh, we are the top, nobody can catch up with us, or a case of the minnows now stepping up their game and do what they have to do, putting a square peg in a square hole? What do you think is the reason for this?
No, 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 no. It's not a case of the big boys suffering from complacency or anything. No, it's about the fact that everybody has caught up with everybody in the game in Africa. Look,
Mhm.
I remember in 1984, way back in 1984 edition, there were 4 professional players at the tournament, and all 4 were playing for Cameroon. You know, but look at what has happened over the years. You know, later, through the help of Westerhoff, a lot of players moved abroad, particularly to
Yeah.
Belgium, Holland, which
Holland.
is
Mhm.
Netherlands, and all. And before you knew it, became a major force and dominated the late 80s and early 90s up until mid 90s. you know but then from then on, others started producing players to go abroad. A lot of Ghanaian players actually land abroad using the Nigerian passports. Is not a secret you know that Ghana, yes, rode on the crest of Nigeria for their football development. you know and before you know it started spreading. Agents started coming from sites abroad to come and fish
Mhm.
for talents in Africa, because it was very apparent that there are a lot of talents in Africa. You know, for example, Arsene Wenger. Arsene Wenger discovered quite earlier than other coaches that it's best to invest in a crude but highly talented African player back home, bring that player to England, expose that player, give the player about 5 years, and then you sell the player for big money. And look at all Arsenal achieved over the years. You must see 3 African players in their team at every particular point in time, and they were
Mhm.
not there to count the bridges in London. They were there to come to play as first teamers, and
Mhm.
then they go on to sell them for mega bucks. Now, those who buy them expensively also, before you know it, now devise a means of sending scouts down to Africa to come and fish for the talents themselves, instead of waiting for the ready-made ones that was costing an arm and a leg. Why
Mhm.
can't they come out to Africa and get them there by themselves? So before you knew it, there was a spread, and that spread is what we're enjoying now. You know, uh, why can't anybody beat anybody? When you look at the lineup and it's like, We are all playing in the same region, in the same axis.
Mm-hmm.
We're all playing, even if not in the same team, we are playing in the same league. You
Mm-hmm.
understand? So what are you talking about? So they always say that, yeah, some to suffer setback so as to have a major comeback. But how do you define the fact that Ghana were knocked out at the group stage the last time, and they have also been knocked out at the group stage this time? Are you saying that between when they lost out in Cameroon 2 years ago and now, that they have not prepared or they have not learned their lessons? Of course they have. In fact, they even played at the World Cup less than a year ago, or about a year ago. But look, like you said, Aaron, the African game is different from the world, the global game. Morocco and the likes, they had a good world. Look, Cameroon defeated Brazil at the last World Cup. We don't need to say much about Morocco. Morocco defeated everybody to get to the semifinals. Ghana, I think, recorded a famous victory at the World Cup as well. But then
Mm-hmm.
they came here and they couldn't even beat Cape Verde.
That's African
Cameroon
football.
couldn't
That's
even
AFCON,
beat
baby. But before
Guinea,
we
despite,
go,
yeah.
now, time is not our friend, Wale. Time is not our friend. Our predictions, guys, predictions. Quarterfinal matches Friday on Saturday. Nigeria, Angola. What are your predictions? Wale and Femi, what are your predictions?
I'll take Nigeria for that. I'm going to stick with them because I will expect. To be honest with you, I'll be disappointed if Nigeria get knocked out by this team, Angola, at this stage of the competition. If we were to be in the group stages, I wouldn't mind. But when we get to this pricey, yeah, this pricey stage of the tournament, there's no point in letting Angola in here. I expect the Nigerian Super Eagles to go there and do their job. Just do the job. That's it. They don't. There's nothing to compare them with. They don't have to start thinking of what do we do. Just go there and win the game. That's it. 1-0, 2-0, 3-0. That's it. Get them off, and we go to the semi.
Now, Wale, coming,
But
now
this is
coming
our
to you
year.
now,
This
Wale.
should be our year, I think.
DR Congo against Guinea. Dr. Wale Okpatola, DR Congo, Guinea. As the
Yeah.
second game on Friday.
I'll
Predictions.
DR Congo. I'll go for DR Congo.
DR
I'll go
Congo,
for
I
DR
said it.
Congo.
Mhm.
What I saw them do, what I saw them against Morocco, in the group stage,
Mhm.
is still sending shivers down my spine. Those Congolese are very difficult to beat.
Uh-uh.
Unfortunately for them, the same thing that we have seen about the Congolese over the years is also happening with this team. They tend to throw away a lot of chances. They from time immemorial, the Congolese have never been clinical in front of goal. This same team have been
Now, let's
creating
move on.
chances in droves, but they've not been taking them. But in the quarterfinal, if
Saturday.
they take their chances, they will easily roll over Guinea.
Now, on Saturday, we have Mali going up against Cote d'Ivoire. I think everybody's agreed on that the Ivorians have a better chance of qualifying. Is that your take? Wale, is
Yeah,
that your take? And Femi
with
as
the
well?
yeah, with the home support. Mhm.
You both agreed on that. Now, Cape Verde against South Africa. Where do you think the pendulum will swing?
Oh,
Short of words. You short of words. Say something, man. You can't be short of words. Say
it's
something.
difficult. It's
Difficult
difficult.
to predict. How do you mean?
It's very difficult.
It's difficult to
Very,
predict.
very
That's what I'm
difficult.
saying.
Okay, time is not our friend. You have
But
to
but but
just make a
but but
prediction.
but 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 I want. But I think I want. I think I want South Africa to win.
It's not about what you
Mm.
Want
want.
to
It's all
win.
about what looks beautiful on paper.
Yeah, but you're asking for my prediction. So I
So
want
you go with
South
the South
Africa to win
Africans.
because,
Okay.
yeah, because we are. I mean, going by what we have said, that Nigeria is going to beat Angola, so we are likely to play South Africa. You know, and I think it's best that we play South Africa than Cape Verde. Number one, our boys, they have a way of underrating opponents. They will not underrate South Africa. The rivalry
Mhm.
and all is always good for us. And at that
Mhm.
stage, we always have our own against South Africa.
Mhm.
Okay now.
Mhm.
Okay, that's out.
That's a good point.
Let's see the way it goes. We've always had our one against South Africa, but don't forget the last time I went to cover a Super Eagles game at the stadium in Uyo, I saw the Super Eagles got thumped by 3 goals to 0. I was there. So we've not. It has not
Yes,
always
but
been
at the
easy for Nigeria
AFCON,
against.
but at the AFCON, the story is always different.
Mm-hmm. You're in a
Like,
neutral ground
let's
there.
see, gonna be this. Let's see. Okay, now for both teams to meet, now they need to get the job done on Friday and on Saturday. That is Nigeria getting the better of Angola and South Africa defeating Cape Verde. Let's see if they can get the job done, and we'll move on to the semi-final. Before we wrap up on today's show, let's quickly talk about some matches that will be played today in Spain in La Liga and also in the Premiership. In the Premiership, we have Man City going up against Burnley. Tottenham will take on Brentford, Liverpool against Chelsea, while tomorrow we'll see West Ham going up against Bournemouth and Wolves will take on Manchester United. In La Liga, there's some rescheduled matches that were rescheduled actually because of the Spanish Super Cup. Barcelona against Atletico Madrid will take on Rayo Vallecano, while Real Madrid will travel to Getafe. It's actually a Madrid derby, and that will come up tomorrow on Thursday. Before we wrap, guys, they got the better of Forest yesterday. We saw our own Awuni make a counter a long time on the sideline. Too bad he couldn't be part of this Nations Cup. It would have been another potent striker, another option for Super Eagles up front going at the Nations. But we saw him make a comeback yesterday. Got a goal yesterday, but Arsenal, they got victory 2-1. Now, Arsenal, do you think they can go all the way? Do you think they can still give Liverpool a run for their money in this championship, or probably it's all done?
No, it's not all done yet. It's not all done yet. Arsenal's got a chance. I'm not saying they're going to win the league, but they will give Liverpool a run. They're playing Liverpool in the next game at the weekend. If Liverpool wins tonight, then Arsenal will play them at the weekend, no matter what. So the league is still on. I think 3 or 4 teams are still in it. Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal. I'll keep these 3 teams as going for the league for now. Don't forget Aston Villa is there. They got defeated yesterday, which was a bad result for them. But at the same time, maybe they're going for 4th place or something. I'm not sure. But the 3 teams there, they're still in it for the title. They're in the title race. Man City, Arsenal, and Liverpool. I can't pinpoint any one of them at this stage that is going to win the championship. But I'm very sure Arsenal is still in this game. They're still in the race.
All right, then. Away from football, let's quickly drop some non-football stories, make it a wrap. In table tennis, Nigeria's Aruna Quadri has gained one step up the ladder of the world ranking to 13th on the ITTF ranking that was released after the ITTF WWT Star Contender that took place in India. Egypt's Omar Asa, who failed to go beyond the second round in Gao, remains in the world. Now, talking about the women's ranking, Egypt's Dina Meshref remains number 1 female ranked table tennis player in Africa. She's been number 1 female ranked table tennis player in Africa for over a decade now. There was a time we saw Nigerian dominance in table tennis during the days of Atonda Musa, Suli Olaleye, Yomi Bankole, Iyabo Ojo, Titus Omotara. Suddenly, what is really going on? Why is it that now it's all about Aruna Quadri or what's it called, Omotayo Olajide, and who is ranked 160 in the world, by the way? How come Nigeria is so much turning out world-class table tennis players like we used to have? Wole, you want to chip in something on that before we wrap up for today?
You need to see you need to see the facilities. You need to see the facilities in North Africa. You need to see the facilities in Egypt, in Morocco, in Tunisia, in Algeria. Now, aside from football, even football, we don't spend money on football like they do there. Look, the only thing we have going for us is that we have talent. But in terms of infrastructure, it's zero. It's zero. What is working for Nigeria is just the talent. That's all. Look, if the North Africans have got the kind of talent we have, with the kind of infrastructures they have, they will be world beaters.
That's true.
World beaters. That's why you have that's why you have Ons Jabba, the Tunisian. Amongst the top in world women tennis. you know, and all. The facilities are there, top notch. That's why you see that they are the ones hosting global events. You know, now the World Cup is going to be hosted by Morocco, Spain, and Portugal. Why not Nigeria, Ghana, Spain, Portugal? Oh no, man, we have a long way to go,
Now,
man.
if you
Okay,
look at it, if
let,
you look
let me
at
say something.
if you look, and if you look at the fact that a lot of what's it called clubs in all these North African countries are not actually football club; they are actually sports club,
Sports
which means
club,
they have
yeah,
athletics team, they have, yes, they have an athletics team, they have a taekwondo team, they have a basketball team, they have a
that's
volleyball
true.
team, they have a handball
That's
team.
true.
When are we going to get there in sub-Saharan Africa?
And that's what's killing us. Wallace just said that we don't have the facilities. For example, if you live in Agege and you play table tennis, where do you go? Where do you go and play? You have to go to Row Park. It's a long way. It's a long way to travel. You live in Ikorodu, you're good at basketball or you're good at volleyball. Where do you play? You have to travel back to the stadium. And that's putting most people off. We don't have facilities closer to the people. We need to have facilities closer to people where Agege should have a sports complex. Ikorodu should have something like that. You know, in New York, you should have something like that. Like if you're a talent, you can play table tennis, you just walk in and go and try yourself there. And they can discover you there. Because I remember when I was growing up, right, in Ikorodu, right, we have a boy, we called him Henry, right? He looks like Henry Nwosu. He is a very, very good footballer. Very, very good footballer. But when it comes to table tennis, this boy plays with, what's it called? With the picnic. The can. That's what he plays with. He said, okay, put your money. I'm gonna pay you. But he can't just get himself up and say, I'm going to Row Park today. Maybe he goes once in a month just to go and bet and beat them there. But if we have that kind of facilities in the Kurundi, they can recruit him and put him into the Nigerian team or something like that. Don't try yourself. It might be a world beater. You don't know. So that's our problem. Facilities, infrastructure for sport, things like that are not there. And when we have the money, they embezzle it. That's it.
Well, too bad. Hopefully, we will get there one of these days. And that is how far we can go. Today's show is a wrap. I must say thank you, gentlemen, for coming onto Sports Engine. This is the AFCON special edition of Sports Engine. We'll be back here next week, Wednesday, most definitely. And by then, the quarterfinal matches we will be talking about the semi-final and probably the final. Thank you again, gentlemen, for coming. And that's how far we can go today. Don't forget, you can always listen and probably watch us live on Jambo Radio Scotland. That's on Facebook. And you can also get us on, on Apple Store, on Google. I remain Ladi Egbedide. With me has been Dr. Wale Okbatola and Enifemi Afolabi. Bye for now.
Thank you, Ladi.